Hi, I'm Michelle. What is happiness? How do we find it? And how do we know when we have? Dr. Christian Guenette will answer these questions in his video. And don't forget, click the button to get the handout. We'll see you soon.
Michelle Ricketts, bringing you your 3-day weekend lifestyle.
I congratulate you for taking the time out of your day to come here to learn a little bit more about happiness. And as you know, happiness with a Y, and you're going to learn about that a little bit later. So I'd like to give you and help give yourselves a round of applause for making it here, because you do deserve the appreciation for coming out here and again taking time to invest in your health, your wellness, and your happiness. So, as Michelle was mentioning, I'm a doctor of chiropractic, and so the philosophy that I take in my work is based on, I like Thomas Edison's quote, where he says, "The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his or her patients in the care of the human frame," which is what I do in chiropractic, "in a proper diet," I refer out to that, "and in the cause and prevention of disease." And I emphasize the cause and the prevention of disease, because in my clinic, what I've seen is about 80%, so 8 out of 10 or 80 out of 100 people that come into my office, almost 100% of them are in pain, but they come into my office and they don't know why they're hurting. They don't know what caused the problem. They just wake up one day. How many people have woken up one day and said, "I must have slept funny"? How many people? Put up your hand if you actually thought that to yourself. Almost everybody in the room would have said, "I must have slept funny because I went to bed, I wasn't feeling pain, but I woke up and I could barely move my neck, or it's hard to get out of bed. It must have been that soft, fluffy pillow, right? That got up in the middle of the night and started pounding on you to make your neck so sore." People don't understand, or have little understanding, about the connection between thoughts, feelings, and physical health. And so because I have to deal with the problems that show up in my office, which are the physical, I have to bridge the gap between what's happening physically and what's happening mentally, emotionally. Because once we start to talk, once I start to interview the patient that doesn't know what caused their pain, 100% of the time, or so close to it, we can identify a painful or an emotionally traumatic event that happened immediately before the onset of pain. So that person that woke up and can't move had an argument with their spouse the night before, or the day before they got word that they might lose their job, or etc., etc. Every time when we talk about it right before the onset of pain, there's something there. So I believe that we need to focus on what's happening up here in order to affect what's happening down here. And in 2 decades of research, I've come across not only then the impact of mind, body for health, but then it's blended into business. And so I'm going to share with you some statistics and some things that relate happiness back to business, because we're also here for the 3-day weekend lifestyle, right? Okay, so that's a little bit of a background on me. I like the adage, I love to teach, as Michelle mentioned the thing, and I like this phrase too, but it's a little different on this one. Give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, but if you teach a man to fish, he'll be gone the entire weekend. And if it's a 3-day weekend, he's gone all 3 days, right? But if you teach a person to fish, they could eat for a lifetime. So if I've dedicated my life to helping to educate people about this important connection between the mind and the body, so that not only can I help you, but you can eventually help yourself. And so I hope with this presentation today, you get a little bit of information that's interesting and useful that you can use starting today to help you make your vision not only a 3-day weekend, but more like a 7-day weekend. Why not? You know, when Michelle said, "Oh, we're going to do a 3-day weekend," it reminded me, I love the idea, but it reminded me of that old adage, well, I'll be happier when. So I'll be happier when I can create that 3-day weekend. I'll be happier when I get that raise. I'll be happier when I get that great relationship that I've been looking for. I'm like, what happened to now? What happened to the possibility of being happy now and then bringing that happiness to all the things that you do in your life, including the 3-day weekend? So I'm not against the 3-day weekend, but I'm like, raise the bar. Raise it up to a 7-day weekend. When you love what you do, it doesn't feel like you need to escape it and make it something else. So let's see what we can do to love what we do more. Now, before I do that, I'm going to put you through an exercise because I want you to understand and appreciate and actually feel what I'm talking about. So it's a very brief exercise, and all you have to do is close your eyes, and I'm going to guide you through it. So find a comfortable place in your chair, feet on the ground, preferably stable, and just start to breathe. So be focused. Take everything else that's happened in your day, in your week, in your month, and just bring your attention to the present moment. Bring your attention to your breath. As you breathe in, feel the air coming into your body, expanding your lungs and your rib cage. And then let the lungs just naturally recoil and let the air come out. And then start again. Breathe it in, expanding, being aware of just that breath. That's all you need to pay attention to right now. And exhale. And as you continue to keep focusing on that breath, I'm going to bring your attention to an event that's happened in your life recently. So I want you to bring your attention as you continue to focus on your breath and your body. Feel that air fill your body and let it escape from your body. But as you're doing that, now bring your attention also to an event in your life recently that you were the most disappointed about. Try to pick something that's really disappointed you recently as you continue to focus on being in this chair, but bring your mind and your experience back to that moment. Anything, at work, at home, something that was really disturbing and disappointing. Go with your whole being now into that experience and be in that experience. Relive it, every sound, every sight. Relive it right here, right now. Be that experience. And as you're continuing to feel that experience, I want you to also pay attention to what's happening to your body when you're reliving that experience. Pay attention to where you might feel that experience in your body. What you might be feeling in your body as you're experiencing and remembering that experience. Pay attention because I'm going to ask you what that feels like. If you're not quite there and you can't quite feel it, go deeper. Just relive everything you can think and feel about that experience. And then feel what happens to your body when you're there. Okay. We don't want to keep you there for too long, so come on back into the room. Come on out of that experience. And just give me some words to describe how your body was feeling when you were having that experience. Or did you have a body experience as you were having that memory experience? Did anybody have a body change when you were having that experience? Give me a word.
Slumped.
Slumped.
Tense.
Tense.
I would say the
Slumped. Anyone else? Diana?
In my guts.
In your guts. Anybody else? Any words to describe what that felt like?
Heart sinking.
Heart sinking, right? Anyone else? Anything else you want to add?
stressed.
None of it sounded good, did it? And it was a physical experience that you had. Now, some people find it easier to come into that body experience than other people. Don't worry about it if you didn't feel it. But every description that we heard, every word that we heard was not a pleasant one. It reflected the memory in a physical sense. Okay? Let's change it. Close your eyes again. Let's change that. Let's erase that. I want you to again bring your attention to your chair, the ground underneath you, your body breathing. Breathe air, refreshing, rejuvenating air. Bring it back into your body. Nice full breath into your belly, expanding your lungs. And then again, the natural recoil of that breath is beautiful. Breathe in again. Imagine that air coming in and just rejuvenating every cell in your body. And then let it exhale, and as it exhales, it just drags out of you all of that negative experience. And as you're continuing to breathe, now I want you to think of something in your recent past that was happy for you. I want you to think of something that was the best experience you had in the last 3, 5, 7, 10, 15 days. The best experience you can remember. The happiest moment. Bring your whole being into that moment. Go back into that experience and relive it. You are there. Everything in you is in that experience. As you're breathing the experience in. And again, as you exhale, you're releasing the negative experience out. Be 100% reliving that happy moment, that joyful moment, that success, that embrace, that loving feeling, whatever it was. And as you're reliving that experience, once again, experience your body now. What does it feel like as you're having that experience and remembering that experience? What does it feel like? What words could you use to describe that experience in your body now? Take just a couple more breaths. Breathe that in. Stay focused on that experience. Breathe. Bring your whole being to it. And then relate that to how your body feels now. And slowly come back into it. I saw some nice things on some faces. What words would you describe? Could you feel it in your body when you had that experience? Anybody could feel that? Wow, that's lovely. Okay. Words to describe that feeling in your body. Light.
Excitement.
Excitement.
That's a lump in
A lump in your throat. That is one to investigate further. Okay, anyone else?
Like when you're about to cry.
Yes,
Yeah.
beautiful. That's also a beautiful experience. Lovely. Anyone else have any words? Relax. I saw little grins. Yes, I saw little smiles starting to form on people's faces. Can you imagine what I just did? I just took you from a negative feeling in your body to a positive feeling in your body in less than 2 minutes. So anyone who thinks that this mind-body connection thing is hard, I can't do it, you have to be an expert in meditation, all that kind of stuff, all you did was remember something that was lovely for you. And your body started to experience it. Because your body doesn't know the difference between something that's in your mind and imagined versus something that's really happening if you experience it with all of your vigor, with everything that you have. You're in that experience. Your body doesn't know the difference. So now you know, if having that negative experience, if you experience your body feeling heavy, slumped, heart sinking, all that kind of, now you know where the illness can start to show up. When your body is exposed to that kind of information over and over and over again, and the more significant it is, the more emotional it is, the more meaningful it is to you on a negative scale, that affects your body more. Okay, so remember that. That's the first thing I want you to remember. A lot of you had the experience. You actually felt it happening. That's how powerful the mind is. Okay? That's why we wrote the book, The Thought That Changed My Life Forever. Because we know, Jillian Laura Roberts was the other author that put the book together, we know how powerful the mind is, and we just wanted to illustrate it and to give people real life examples. There's 52 examples of real people who have had a thought, an intention, an idea that literally changed their life forever. One thought. Okay? Any questions about what we just did? It was pretty interesting, wasn't it?
Yes.
If you've never experienced that kind of stuff before, it's amazing. I can show you so much more, but we have limited time tonight. So I just thought I'd do that as a quick example of how powerful it can be, number one, and how quick you can change it. Number two, you can change it. You have the power. All right. So speaking of a 3-day weekend, so back to the 3-day weekend, why would we create the goal? Why would we create that goal to have a 3-day weekend? Let's start to throw some ideas around. Isn't the idea to create more time, right? It is. Create more time. You want 3 days instead of 2 days. You want a longer weekend. But time for what? What are you creating time for? And why? Why are you going to create that time? Here's the ideas that we can start throwing around. The what? So in other words, if you look at your card, what is your happiness? You're probably going to look at things that I'm going to show you on the screen. Just see if it relates. What? For your health. You're going to make sure you're more healthy, balanced. Relaxation. Some of you had that feel, oh, when I got to that happy, it was relaxation. Travel. People love to travel when they have more time. Relationships. I want to spend more time with my loved ones. I want to exercise a hobby. More time with family, friends, fitness, play. These are all what's that we want to use for that time, isn't it? Anything else I missed in here? Is there any other ideas that I missed on this? No? If you do, just throw them out there. It's okay. That's the what? Pardon? Sleeping. That's me too. Nice. Sleeping in. Relaxing. And then that would be more healthy for you too, right? Okay, so that's the what. What if we turn to the why? So we take all of those things, and the why, if you think about it, the why we want to do these things is not the things themselves. It's not hobbies, it's not friends, it's not travel, it's not relationships, it's not health, it's not family, it's not play, it's not relaxation. That's not why we do it. We do all of those things for one reason, because it makes us happier. That's why we do it. That's why. So why I put a why in happiness is because they forgot to put the why in there. There's a why that you do things to be happier. And if you remember your personal why, if you remember your why, then you can find happiness more often. You can create it more. The goal behind all goals is happiness, or what I call happiness. We're going to put the why back into happiness. Or we're putting the happy back into happiness, one or the other. All right, so if you don't believe me, I'm going to ask, why do we set goals in the first place? Why do we actually, because we're all business people, or most of us are business people. So we know the power of goals and we want to create goals, but why do we set those goals? Why? And so a quick show of hands. Imagine how many people, show of hands, how many people, when you wake up tomorrow, you want to wake up tomorrow with the intention of feeling worse than you felt today? How many people would set that as a goal and wake up tomorrow and tomorrow is going to be worse than today, for sure? I want that to happen. Nobody. Nobody. How many people would love to have an experience better than today? My point is taken. That's it. It's made. We all want our goals that we set with the intention of feeling better. That's why we set goals. If you understand that, when you're going about your day, going about your business, going about your relationship, going about your family, your friends, your hobbies, are you happy when you're doing those things? Because if you're not, why are you doing them? It goes against the main principle of what you set every goal for. Change something. And I'm going to teach you how to change something later on today. The good news about goals, so I kind of made fun of setting a goal, but really, those who set specific goals are up to 10 times more likely to achieve them. So again, it is important to set goals. However, the bad news is, if you look at the statistics behind one of the most common goal-setting times of year, the New Year's resolutions, right? If you look at the bad news is, according to statisticbrain.com, out of all those who make resolutions, 25% don't make it past the first week, 35% don't make it past the second week, and over half don't succeed or won't succeed past 6 months. So, what are we doing wrong if we're not making it? What are we doing wrong? We forgot the why. So if you want to look at the old goal-setting thing, anyone who's in business has heard of SMART goals before. I'm just going to remind you, just as a reminder, because reminding is learning. Learning is repetition. SMART goals are goals that are specific, measurable, achievable with action steps, realistic, and timely. Remember that when you're setting your goals to do that. I have a goal-setting chart for you guys to take home that not only incorporates setting a goal for a reason, but setting a goal with intention. An intention to be happier in your life. But more importantly, remember your personal why. If you can remember your personal why when you're setting goals, you get emotionally addicted to the goal. It becomes more powerful and meaningful for you. A challenge can be overcome easily or easier. If you're not emotionally connected to your goals, it's not as personally meaningful to you, you will find a challenge, find a road bump in life, and give up. Oh, well, maybe that's not meant for me. Maybe I'm not good enough to do that. Maybe I can't do that. It's easy to give up when you don't have that why, that's your anchor, that's feeding you with passion. Just as I'm saying that, I'm reminding myself, if you have any questions at any time, please stop me and ask. I don't mind, okay? I can go forever. I told Michelle, give me more time, I'm here, I'll do it. I love to teach. As you can probably tell, I'm so passionate about that mind-body connection and how it can change your life today. Again, if you could stay here all week and I'd be here. Tell you all about it. Where's the proof? So people say, okay, that sounds good. Christian, it sounds nice and it's all fluffy and everything, but where's the proof? There's a book, easy, one reference. I've studied this for 20 years, but I give you one positive psychology reference This is a book. Sean Aker. If you like TED Talk, if you've ever watched TED Talks, he gives a fantastic TED Talk on happiness. His name's Sean Achor, spelled A-C-H-O-R. You gotta watch it. It's fantastic. It's lovely. But in this book, he gives the proof. According to Aker's research, now remember I said most people, they talk about, I'm setting a goal because I want to be happier once I achieve the goal. I want to be happier when. I want to be happier if, right? Well, according to Aker's research, happier people live longer. Happier people enjoy more success in business. Happier people have better relationships. Happier people don't get sick as often. Happier people recover better. So, is the idea that I'm going to achieve all these things to get happy, or does the research start to show us that when you're happier, you actually get more of these things? That's what it's showing us. Positive psychology is now a course in universities. They're teaching it because it's so statistically significant. They're doing a ton of research. That's really true. So, should we get more productive so we can eventually enjoy more happiness, or start today? When the brain is set in a positive state, here's another quote, you are 31% more productive and 37% better at sales. At sales, 37% better at sales when you're happier. So bottom line, if you feel better, you will be happier. How do you get that? So here's the next question, right? Why are so many of us not there already? It's a no-brainer. We're all like, okay, fine, I get it. Of course we want to be happier, of course. But why are we not here? And why are we not there? Why? Why? Why are we not there? I rack my brains. I'm like, why are we, at least on this side of the world in North America, why are we so unhappy? Unhappiness, the use of antidepressants is epidemic proportions. People are numbing themselves because they're hurting. Why? Why? It's because we've been taught to. We've been taught to suffer. Any Catholics in the room? We've been taught to suffer, right? But I'm not going to blame religion. We're going to go back even into, we just had the US election, right? Let's go back to some wise men that came together in 1776 and said, we have to create a manifesto for our people, right? And they said, what are we going to do? Let's create, okay, here's the basic gist. Human beings have the right, the unalienable right, you can't take it away from them, for life, for liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not happiness. You don't have the right to happiness, you have the right to pursue it forever. But you won't achieve it, because we're going to teach you how to strive to achieve more, strive to get more, strive to be more, and then you can eventually be happy. What they're finding is the people that are getting there are not happier. They're not marginally happier. But you'd think, oh, if I just had $2 million in the bank, I'd be so happy. Guess what? Research shows you're not. You know, if you look at Dan Gilbert, is another author, talks about the science of happiness. Dan Gilbert, who wrote a book called Stumbling on Happiness. And the science shows it, his research shows that what you expect will make you happy doesn't make you happy. So what do we got to do? And I'm telling you, you've got to get back to your why. You got to find the why, you got to connect with the why, and you got to live for the why. That's what you got to do. How does it start? The solution. There you go. Being happy. So being happy is actually the only way to achieve more happiness. Because being happy will bring more to you. You're going to feel better, you're going to attract more, and then that will just feed in a positive loop into your personal experience. That's what happens. You'll be healthier. You won't have to see me as often. People say, well, aren't you putting yourself out of business, Christian? I say, no, this is never going to end. People are going to suffer. I'm never going to be out of a job. But I would rather treat you for a few treatments and get you better and teach you how to get better on your own than treat you 1,000 times. I'd rather treat you a few times and have you talk about me and treat all your friends and your family than treat you forever and you need me to feel good. But how then is the next question. How? So we got the what, talking about the why. I think you guys are nodding your heads. I can see it. It sounds pretty logical, right? It's going to work. But then the question is, yeah, but how? How, Christian? You studied for 20 years. Maybe you know. Maybe you live. Maybe you walk the talk. I do. I've been sick. I've missed work maybe less than the fingers on my one hand in 17 years. Why? How is that possible? How is that possible? Can anyone else claim that in this room? You've missed less than 5 days of work you too? Awesome. No? Never?
17.
Good job. 17 years, yes.
I think I'm pretty close.
Excellent, good. Probably because you enjoy what you do.
Yeah.
Probably because work is not work, it's joy.
I've just want to add, I actually broke my kneecap like 10 years ago, and I still went in to go play a gig
Right?
at a club with a broken kneecap. Before I went to the hospital, I had a broken kneecap, and I was like, it'll be fine, I'll go home.
Thank you. I did the exact same thing. I played tennis on a Thursday morning. Thursday mornings I don't work. I turned my ankle over. All my ligaments snapped in my ankle.
Did that
Totally turned, popped everything. I could feel it. I'm like, oh shoot, this is not good. Went to work in the afternoon.
Yeah.
My foot blew up like the Elephant Man.
Yeah.
Went to work the next morning. At lunchtime, I went to see the doctor across the hall. The doctor's like, you should not be walking. And I said, I can walk, it's fine. I know it looks bad, but it's fine. He x-rayed it. He
Not
actually
fine.
went with me to x-ray it. He held my ankle in inversion, which is turning the ankle in the way that it sprained, and he showed me the x-ray. He said, this ankle's not supposed to do this. You need surgery. And I'm like, I don't. I can walk, I'm okay, right? It was painful, but I could walk. And then he actually consulted with his orthopedic surgeon friend, and then got back to me and said, okay, the guy said, with your age and your activity levels and stuff, you don't need to. I broke my back when I was a teenager too. I'm walking around with a broken spine, no ligaments in my ankle, and I'm not in a lot of pain. Why? How is that possible? Because my spirit keeps me light, keeps me lighter, keeps me happy, right? I'm feeling okay. It works that way, I'm telling you. And really, this is the how. It all starts with your beliefs. That's where it starts, and I'll tell you why. Because the events of your life, now really listen close to this one, because it's a sequence of events that makes absolute sense, and it's the most powerful sequence of events that you could hear if you put it into action. The events in your life do not determine the quality of your life. I say it again, the events that happen in your life, what happens in your life, does not determine the quality of your life. How you feel about the events in your life determines the quality of your life. How you feel about the events, not the events themselves. You can have 100 different people that experience the exact same event. You could come away with 100 different stories about the event and 100 different feelings about the event. It's not the event that dictates your quality of life. It's how you feel about it. How you feel about the event is determined by the story that you keep telling yourself about the event. It's the story that you know it. There's stories that are going on in your mind non-stop over and over again. The story that keeps repeating in your head about the event that's happened already keeps generating the feeling that you initially had in the event. And then the story that you tell is determined by your perspective. And your perspective is shaped by your beliefs. So it all comes down to what you believe. As you grow up from birth until you become a decision-making adolescent to an adult, you are taught what to believe by people who are looking after you. It's their responsibility. They take it personally, right? They've got to guide you and teach you. But they're teaching you what works for them, or what they think works for you, or will work for you. They don't really know you. They have never lived inside of you. They don't know. So once you become a decision-making conscious adult, you have to start to figure out what you believe. Not what you were taught, but what feels right. That's so important. What feels right to you. If you use that as your guide, you will live a life with fewer regrets. And if you live a life with fewer regrets, you'll live a life that feels more purposeful. Don't we all seek meaning in our lives? We seek meaning in our lives, don't we? Purpose, meaning is a huge, important human factor. I say if you look for meaning in everything that happens, your life becomes more meaningful. Look for meaning, you will find it. Find meaning, feel better. Feel better, it breeds more happy. More happy, more meaning. This keeps going, right? It all starts with your beliefs. So what I'm going to share with you is a couple of quotes first, and then I'm going to share with you the 7 habits of happier people. So whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. You're right. That's what's going to happen, right? So people say, if people have watched The Secret before, The Secret preaches that if you think it and if you manifest, it's guaranteed to happen every time. They're wrong. They're wrong, because what will happen is if you focus on it, you get emotionally connected to it, you will shift the tendency of what's going to happen. The tendency, the statistics, the tendency, but you're not going to guarantee it. However, if I am so stubborn, and I'll call it persistence, because I don't like the word stubborn, but if I'm persistent at my goal, and I'm persistent at my reasons for going for that goal, and I never stop, will I ever fail? Never. I will never fail. I will die first. So I have never failed. I just continue to be passionate about what I'm seeking, and I seek it with all of my being. And if I hit an obstacle or a challenge, I go over it, I go around it, I go through it, but I never fail. Now, how does that feel versus somebody who wants to achieve something because they think they should, because someone else told them they should, because they were told that it's the better thing to do, so they seek it. And if they don't, if they hit a road bump, they quit because they never really were emotionally connected to that goal anyway. Or number two, they hit some road bumps along the way and they're like, oh, I can't do this. That's what happens. Okay? So, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Believe you can and you're halfway there. You're halfway there. Believing that you can somehow engages with the universe in a weird and wacky way to shift and change the tendency of what actually happens. I just did it with your minds. I just brought you to a memory and you experienced something different. You didn't go anywhere else. I didn't add anything to your life. I just got you to focus and it changed your experience. That's what can happen. Okay, so introducing Dr. Guenette, 7 Habits of Happier People, and I'm going to give you a handout to take it home. So you will be able to take this. Don't look at it now because I'm going to go over it with you one by one. But you have a handout. If you want to take it home, you get all of this explained in a handout. Okay? So number 1, responsibility. You guys have heard of Jack Canfield? Have you heard of Jack Canfield? He wrote a book called
Chicken Soup for the Soul.
No, that's not
no?
what I want to hear. The Success Principles.
Okay.
The very first principle, the very first one in his book, it's got like, I can't remember, it's somewhere between 150 to 300 principles. The very first one is responsibility. People, the moment you take responsibility for everything in your life is the moment you can change anything in your life. No exceptions. I am personally responsible for everything that shows up in my life. Everything. Because I am perceiving it. Everything. So remember, that event happens. I didn't cause the event, but I can cause the reaction. I can cause the response. I can cause what I do as a result of the event. People who are happier live by this. And the ones that are unhappy, life is happening to them. I'm a victim of life. Life is chance. Life is luck. Life is whatever. People who are unhappier tend to believe that some things are of my design, some things are my responsibility, some aren't. I say, how do you know which one? You have to take responsibility for everything. You can't choose which one is your responsibility and which one isn't. You have to take responsibility for everything because you can do something. Nobody chooses for you. You choose. Okay? Responsibility. Number 1, presence is so important. Oh, this is one of my favorites. What day is it? Asked Pooh. It's today, squeaked Piglet. My favorite day, said Pooh. So every day, Pooh wakes up, and Piglet wakes up. What day is it? It's today. And guess what? That's my favorite day. Every day is my favorite day when I wake up. If you can have that attitude when you wake up in the morning, can you imagine how your life would be different? If every day you woke up, you said, this is my favorite day today. This is my favorite day. I get to live this day. This is so awesome. Imagine if you had that attitude. People that live in the present tend to be happier. People that live in the moment and feel and perceive and magnify their experience tend to live with more passion. They tend to feel more alive, etc., etc. They tend to feel more in control of the outcome. People that feel, again, think about the past and go, oh, well, I'd be happier if that didn't happen. Or my life would be so much better if that didn't happen. Or they look into the future and say, oh, geez, I wonder if that's going to ever happen. Or I can't do that. Or, gee, people that live in the present, people that live in the past or the future tend to be unhappier. People that live in the present moment tend to be happier. Goals. Talked about this already, but if you want to be happy, set a goal that commands your thoughts, liberates your energy, and inspires your hopes. So that, my friends, is something I'm going to send home with you. Not take home with you. Something I'm going to send home with you is this handout, this questionnaire by Brendan Burchard. You've probably heard of him. Brendan Burchard, Life's Golden Ticket and other things. Anyway, he did a program called something about bold. Anyway, it was an Oprah show. It was in conjunction with Oprah, and he created this handout that's all about creating goals that have value. So I didn't want to recreate or reinvent the wheel, so I just said, here, it was a program that was free for parts of it, and etc. So I just said, well, Brendan Burchard would be happy that we'd be using his tool to be more happier. So I created that, I copied that, you can take that home with you too. Action. Take action. An inch of movement will bring you closer to your goals than a mile of intention. I have a funny story about that because, when I'm working with people who are in pain, there's often stretches that you can do. People, stretches. Imagine that. Become more flexible and actually move better. Gee, I wonder how that's going to affect my body. So I give people recommendations for stretches, and then I get a patient that had low back pain. We did some adjustments. We did some muscle work on him to take the pressure off, which is what I do all the time. I'm taking the pressure off of the pain, taking the pressure off and letting the body heal. The body knows how to heal. There's just inhibition of the healing process caused by tension and stress. That inhibits healing. We've got to take the pressure off. Then you guys got to keep it off. I can take it off. You got to keep it off. Anyway, so I give them stretches so you can help keep it off. And then he comes back in a week or so. I say, how are the stretches? And the guy says, okay. Okay, what do you mean? So how many days did you stretch? He goes, well, I tried to stretch every day. That's awesome. How many days did you actually stretch? None. Well, no wonder you're so tight again. How did trying to stretch actually help you? It didn't help you at all. Trying, beware of that word, try. I tried to. Did that mean that you did it, but it didn't live up to your expectation? Or did it mean you thought about doing it, but didn't actually do it? It was a good idea, and so in my mind I was doing it all the time, but it didn't actually come to fruition in actually creating something. So remember, when you hear the word try, ask yourself, did I do? You know, the Yoda, there is no try. There is only do. I can do it better, but I'm not going to do it in front of a crowd. It would sound really weird. Comparing is number 5. Habits of unhappy people and happier people. Comparing. Instead of comparing our lot with that of those who are more fortunate than we are, we should compare it with the lot of the great majority of our fellow men and women. It then appears that we are among the privileged. Most unhappy people tend to look at other people and say they're in a better place than I am. Most unhappy people tend to look at other people and say they have more than I have. They seem happier than I am. Blah, 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 blah. Happier people recognize that they're fortunate because they compare down. They actually compare, well, this is way better than it could be. Way better than it could be. I feel so fortunate, right? The difference is unhappy people compare up. They're always looking at those people that have more success, are in a better relationship, more friends, blah, blah, blah. And happier people go, I'm fortunate. I'm so fortunate. I'm blessed with what I have. And they know that people have it worse. They know it, right? Number 6, awareness. Awareness is the key to everything. There comes a point when you have to realize, and here's a nice quote, that you'll never be good enough for some people. How many people recognize they're never going to be good enough for that person? But the question is that your problem or is that theirs? Perception. Awareness of the problem. Other people placing judgment on you does not define you and your worth. You alone determine your worth. And as a result, your happiness. You determine it. Nobody determines it for you. So going back to responsibility, take responsibility for the quality of your life and start making decisions that lead to a happier feeling. Is it your problem or is it theirs? And finally, number 7, giving. The meaning of life is to find your gift. And we all have gifts to offer each other. The purpose of life is then to give it away. So the purpose of life is not to recognize your gift and then hold on to it. And just, I'm going to keep it, it's mine, and you can't have it. The purpose of life and a meaningful life is actually to share the gift. We live in a community. We were not born on an isolated island alone. We're born in a community. And so we are here. One of the greatest human traits is to share. But who recognizes that when we feel angry, we share that too, don't we? When we feel sad and upset, we share that too, don't we? We do. So instead, why not be happy and share that? Right? Find your gift. I use an analogy of people say, well, I don't have any gifts. I don't have any gifts. I'm like, shut up. You do so. One of my favorite words in my head, my cognitive therapist in my head goes, shut up. If it's saying something that's going to bring me down, shut up. What are you doing? You have a choice. Say something else. But people say, I don't have a gift. I can't recognize my gift. I'm like, are you breathing? You have a gift. Are you breathing? You're a human being with consciousness. You have a gift. Nobody else on the face of the planet will ever be you. No, I can say that with 100% confidence. No one on the face of the planet will ever, ever be you. So the gift you have is to offer you to the rest of us. So your responsibility to the rest of us in the room is to connect with yourself, recognize who you are, what makes you tick, and then share that as much as possible. I can't think of anything more meaningful to do with my life than to share with you what my passions are, right? And then I want to hear from you, the same thing. Every once in a while, in my job, I'll listen to you complain. But if you're my friend, I won't listen for very long. I'll be like, you have a choice, right? Your complaining is either going to bring you down or bring me down with you, right? It's like, I use the analogy, I say, think of it this way. Imagine this again. I'm a philosopher, so I'm always thinking of ways of describing things and actually living things. So imagine if you made it your purpose and your goal in life is to leave every interaction that you ever have with another person, leave that interaction net positive in energy and emotion. Imagine if that was your goal. So you have two people coming together. One is upset, one is feeling good. They come together. This one's complaining. If this one lets himself or herself get brought down by the other person complaining, now we got two people leaving that interaction negative. You got a net negative. Okay? So let's say another situation, you got negative and positive coming together. Now this one is trying to cheer that other one up, but doesn't try very hard, and this one's trying really hard to be negative. Well, now you leave again, and this one increased the negativity in this one, but this one didn't have much of an impact on the negative. Still net negative. So make it a goal that when you come together and then you leave, that you leave with a net positive result. Again, it's a beautiful concept in relationship with anybody, and at work, in your personal life, in your family, leave net positive. And you'll never regret. You'll never regret your interactions. Okay, want me to make it more simple? Even more simple. That's pretty basic. Any questions about the 7 habits? Focus on appreciation. So, when you wrote on your card, happiness, here's where we'll get to your definitions of happiness. Okay, now don't feel silly or stupid or anything about your definition, because it's all going to teach us something. Who wants to share something about their happy? What's happiness? Sure. Judy.
So happiness to me means being around people who push me to improve myself and people who I can be my genuine self around. Doing work that I can be proud of while impacting lives positively. And it's funny you mentioned that because I wrote, most importantly, being grateful for what I have and appreciating where I'm at in life.
Lovely. Well done. Get you involved with my program. Okay. Anybody else? No, come on. That's pretty all-encompassing, but anybody have any ideas that they wrote down? Happiness. Yan, come on. I know you want to.
All right.
You went simple.
Yeah, I went simple. Happiness means progression and personal growth.
Nice. Absolutely. I would say absolutely that's an important part of happiness. We all want to evolve. We all want to expand and evolve our consciousness. It's a natural tendency or a natural desire. So it's beautiful. It gives you a sense of accomplishment. Anybody else? Okay.
I wrote, happiness to me is having the freedom of choice to do the things I want, when I want, with the people I want, anytime needed, without worries.
Nice. Freedom. Another wonderful concept that can cultivate the feelings of happiness. Absolutely. Anyone else? Okay.
Mine are building meaningful relationships with the people around me, the freedom to do the things that I enjoy,
Yeah.
as well as eating all the things
Yeah, I get to eat whatever I want, whenever I want, never feel bad about it. That's absolutely true. Anyone would go for that one for sure. But that idea of freedom is really an important